Hello there. The following video is of a showcase presentation that I gave for colleagues and friends of GenNet, a super networking meeting that you can join if you want to. So just drop me a line and I'll tell you how to do that. It talks about the power of storytelling. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for the opportunity of giving this slot. I want to ask you a question. Are you sitting comfortably? Then
Yes.
do you know what program? And there are certain people amongst us who will know where that line came from. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Any ideas?
Listen with mother.
Listen with Mother. That happened. It was a BBC radio program between 1950s and the 1982. That's when it ended. And what it was a storytelling program. And I remember as a kid from a very early age that it offered ideas and stories. And the reality is that we are programmed to listen to stories. And what we need in this day and age is the ability to tell stories that are compelling and enthralling so that people do business with us. So in the next 10 minutes or so, I want to offer you a framework to help you make your stories meaningful so that others want to do business with you. But first, I want to suggest some universal truths. People hate being sold to. The next is, perhaps it's a difficult one, this one. People buy emotionally. They decide logically. And unless we understand that there are two elements to this storytelling aspect, then we're not going to do business. So I'm going to repeat it. People buy emotionally, they decide logically. And my personal mantra, don't tell me what you do, tell me what you have done for others. So how do we tell stories that are compelling and persuasive? So let me give you this 2-minute storytelling framework, and I'll ask you to write it down if you would. There are 3 elements to it: incident, action, and benefit. The incident was, if you like, what's the overarching basis for the story, the problem that your client or customer was facing. The action element is, what action did you take to resolve that problem? And the third, the benefit statement, is what was the benefit that ultimately they gained? Was it financial? Was it personal? Or emotional? That word again, emotional. So that's the basis of these stories. And the key to any story that we're telling, and I appreciate that over 2 minutes, it's very difficult to tell a story. So what I'm going to ask you to do, either during this session or after it, is to just write a story. Effectively, it's a testimonial, as Dave Marshall will know. But it is a structured testimonial that you can drop in when you have a conversation. The key is to make it sensory rich so that the people that are listening to the story feels like they're actually stepping in to the experience with you, because that's the emotional element of it. So let me give you a real life example of a story that I had to tell. While I was working for QVC, I had to sell a telescope. Now, telescopes are the most difficult thing to sell on television because the viewer can't look down the lens. And we can't show it. We can't show a picture of the moon or the stars or any of the planets, because to do that, and to be honest, we have to show it as a very small object. Otherwise, we're telling a lie. So it's too small to show as a picture. And in this particular instance, it's what they called a today's special value. And today's special value means that it's 8 sessions throughout the day of something like 15 minutes per session. And it was the last session of the day, and had not done very well. We were not selling. But I remember speaking to the MD who told me this story, and this is the basis of the story. One starry November night, he said to his 7-year-old daughter, let's wrap up warm, go out into the garden, get some soup and some chairs, and we'll set up the telescope and we'll look at the wonder of the universe. Huddled together, which is a bonding experience, both father and daughter looked through the telescope and saw the moon and Saturn's rings. And the experience instilled in that little girl a lifelong love of astronomy. We had just 15 minutes. We sold out the entire stock of 500 telescopes at £80 each. That equates to something in the order of 2,600 per minute. Emotion to logic, incident, action, benefit. It really works. So what are the stories that you can tell that encompasses both of those elements? To prove my point, I know that Adrian, without any guests, he normally does a quiz. So I've got a little quiz for you. If you can tell me, what are the brands? What are these brands by their taglines? So, and please shout out the answers. Just do it.
Nike.
Right? You're worth it.
L'Oreal.
L'Oreal.
Very good. I'm loving it.
McDonald's.
Yeah. The best that a man can get.
Gillette.
Gillette.
Yeah, absolutely. And finger licking good.
KFC.
Chicken.
Colonel Sanders.
That's right. So what do you get from those taglines? What's the connection between all of those taglines? What do you reckon?
Been in advertising too long.
I want to get something to eat.
Rule of threes.
Anything else?
Rule of threes.
Say
It's the
again.
feeling of the experience you get.
That's the key. Those are all emotion-based taglines.
Mm.
Just do it. That's Nike. I'm loving it, whether you agree with that at all. But again, it's about, it could also be mouth-watering, the best the man can get. Doesn't say anything about shaving or anything like that. And that finger licking good. So if you have a look at those really winning taglines, you'll see how much the emotion is used. So I'm going to ask you to think, in fact, if you would now share, and how much longer have I got, Yvonne?
2.5 minutes.
2.5. Okay.
Minutes, yeah.
So what thoughts have occurred for you that you can identify that emotion to logic element of your stories? Any thoughts?
Mm.
Or am I putting you too much on the spot?
So I look after people's hosting. I take the technical stress off them. So I try and say I take the technical burden or technical stress off your shoulders, and I deal with it. And then you can get along with being happy. That's not very catchy at all, but
Well, take it one stage further, and thank you, Abby, for volunteering that. You take the stress, which allows them to do what?
run their business happily and update their website and make money and have less stress and not
Okay.
have stress. No,
Take it one stage further down, that you've released the stress, they're able to do business, which gives them the opportunity to do what?
Focus.
Earn more stuff online, make their website more successful, make them happier.
Do what they love.
Say again.
Yeah, do what they love. You said that.
Do what they love. So,
Yeah.
and that's the key. What would they do if they had all of that stress removed from them? They could spend more time with their family. They could chat to their clients and spend more focus with their clients. So can you see how the original thought, you just take it stage by stage deeper to understand what the real focus is, and what the real emotional connection is. So I think we're virtually out of time. So let me tell you once again those key elements. Don't tell them what you do. Don't tell your clients and customers what you do. Tell them what you have done for others. Make it sensory rich so that they can step into that emotional experience. And then the logic comes when you say, it's going to cost you, or the value will be to you X. So
Our tagline is
say again.
our tagline is we give you back your weekends.
Oh, I like
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm.
And that's an emotional content. And you know what we've proved today is that these major companies, when they go through their thoughts about what makes them different, is that it is, oh, where's the music coming from? So that's the lesson for today. Incident, action, benefit. Write your stories, tell your stories.